But there's one more thing, there's one more choice that has to be made in this election, and that is, do we want to continue to have a politics that divides us instead of brings us together? You know, I got my start in public service as a community organizer, working in the shadow of steel plants that had closed in the southeast side of Chicago. And there were three different communities that were affected. There was a predominantly African-American community on the south side. There was a predominantly white community called Hegewisch. There was a Latin American community, mostly Mexican-American, in southeast Chicago. And they all were members of different Catholic parishes or different churches. But you know what those churches realized is that individually these communities couldn't bring about change. But if everybody was working together, then we might not be able to bring back all those jobs, but at least we could start creating job training programs for the unemployed and bring back economic development strategies and reinvest in infrastructure. So we created this organization. I worked for 3 years, and it was hard work, but it was the best education I ever had, because it taught me when ordinary people come together, they can do extraordinary things. And that change doesn't happen from the top down, it happens from the bottom up. And that's what this election is about. You know, there are going to be all sorts of efforts in the next 4 days and in the next 8 months to divide us. We're going to be debating flag pins, and we're going to be debating, you know, sniper fire and comments of my former pastor. There are all kinds of things that are going to try to push us away from each other, because that's what our politics has become, just a way to score political points and attack each other. But we can't afford that this time, because we've got too much work to do. And so we have to remind ourselves that whatever else we are, black, white, Hispanic, Asian, male, female, young, old, rich, poor, Democrat, Republican, independent, whatever else we are, we're Americans. And that what binds us together are those values and those ideals that my grandparents lived by, that Michelle's parents lived by, that we are trying to pass on to our kids. And those values and ideals can't just live in our families, not just in our communities. They've got to also be expressed through our government. That's what we're fighting for, to make sure that the decency and generosity of the American people is reflected in Washington, in our policies, so that we start giving everybody health care that they can count on, so that we're investing in infrastructure and clean energy to bring back good jobs here in America, so that every child gets a great education and they can afford to go to college because we've made it possible, so that we're making sure that our environment is preserved for the next generation, and that we've got a foreign policy that reflects our ideals as well, so that we are not disrespected around the world, but we're once again seen as a beacon of hope, a beacon of freedom all around the world. That's what we're fighting for. That's why I need your vote on Tuesday. And if we win Indiana, then we're going to win this nomination, and we will win the general election, and you and I together, we're going to change the country and change the world. Thanks, everybody. God bless you.